Elliot Friedman putting this out here. Vincent Trocheck to Utah. Rupper, you wanted to know the return. You ask, you shall receive Sean Durzi, Cole Baudouin, and a third-round pick coming up in 2027. All right, Elliot Friedman joining us now, again on NHL Tonight. The real reason why he left us, wanted to change his shirt. See the T-shirt he's wearing?
So.
Trophy husband. He had the white dress shirt on last time he was with us. So, yeah, look at that. You're a trophy insider, trophy husband. Did you buy that for yourself or did your wife buy it for you?
So the story is we were out one day and we were shopping at some, like one of those like discount stores that we go. We're like, I think it was actually a vintage store. And I saw it and she looked at me right away and she was like, you're going to buy that, aren't you? And I said, I am. And I wear it every year on July 1st. And I also wear it sometimes when we go out together. It's a good conversation starter, I have to say.
I love it. It's a great T-shirt. Certainly a great conversation starter. The conversation ender was your tweet about Vincent Trocheck going to Utah. How did that detail or that deal come to be? And what do you make of the return there for Vincent Trocheck?
Well, first of all, I have to, obviously Trocheck's going to have to ultimately talk about it himself because I think Utah was one of the teams that he couldn't be dealt to. And, Utah's been after him for quite some time. They tried last year during the regular season. And, Vincent Trocheck, for family reasons, his preference was to be East. And a lot of his no-trade list, I think it was 12 teams, were Western teams, and for family reasons, and I understand it, I never argue with those who wanted to be East. But I guess, number one, Utah was persistent, and number two, I just think that he was a player who was ready for a change. He was ready for a change. He was ready to go somewhere else. He was ready to try something new, and ultimately Utah wore him down and convinced him to do it. And it is a big return. Sean Durzi's a very good defenseman, a real puck mover. And the other thing, too, is that Cole Baudouin, and I don't get a chance to see a lot of the juniors. I watch enough NHL that I don't get to see a lot of the juniors. But I know people who've seen him and who saw him in the playoffs last year playing for Barrie. That's a really competitive, talented kid. And right now, the Rangers will probably look at it and say, okay, we've got a couple of defense pairs because they're also working on acquiring Marcus Pettersson from the New York Rangers, from the Vancouver Canucks. But ultimately, Baudouin is going to be the one guy that they're going to hope he's going to be a Ranger for a long time, and he has a chance to be. That's a talented kid.
Elliot, just as far as this deal goes down, Vinny Trocheck's name's been out there for so long. We kept hearing that the Rangers are just going to stay with their ask. Do you feel like that return is maybe what you expected over time?
I do. I think that's about what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be something like that. I wasn't necessarily sure about Durzi, but I was expecting a name like Baudouin to be in the return. I think that was important for New York. They have to inject some youth in their roster. They have to get some good young players who can make an impact. And when I heard that name, I was like, okay, that's the kind of player the Rangers were looking for.
Subtracting Durzi, Elliot, do you kind of get the sense now that that's an area of focus for Utah going forward?
I'll have to take a look at that, Stu. Like, the one thing I know about Utah is they were trying to get another center in the worst way. And they brought back Kevin Stenlund as well, a one-year deal at 2.75. But that kind of Trocheck-like player, those players are really hard to find. Mm-hmm. Utah had been after, I wrote this morning, like they were lusting after Trocheck. And I do think that they really liked him. And that was the kind of player they wanted for a long time. So I have to take a look at it. And I have to figure out what is going to, I have to figure out where this goes for the Mammoth. But number one, I think, Stu, the key was getting a player like him very badly. I think they wanted him real bad.
So he too was the trophy husband, Vinny Trocheck.
Yes, yes. There's a lot of trophy husbands in this picture and on this conversation. Yes.
I'm wondering if your vintage thrift shop has trophy GM T-shirts as well, and if they do, could you pick one up for maybe San Jose's Mike Greer? Because you talk about the team that he had this past season, the draft that he had in Buffalo, and now some of the free agent pieces, Elliot, that he has brought to his organization. True Trouba, Nurse, Marchment. Like, what do you make of what San Jose has done here in the last couple of weeks and where this organization, is heading, and quickly?
Well, they're heading in a really good direction. Like, I love the draft they had where they got Stenberg second and Verhoff ninth. Like, it's not something like Stenberg could make that team right away, I think. And I think he's got a shot to do it. And Verhoff's probably a bit longer away, but he's going to be a good player in the NHL for a long time. I think you look at their youth and their group and you say, like, that's going to be a frightening team in not too long. Anaheim kind of went through it, and now look where they're going with that young group. And I think eventually San Jose will be there too. I mean, at the end of the season, Jameson, you took a look at what they had, and on the blue line, you said they're going to have to get players. And today they get Trouba, and they're going to be trading for Darnell Nurse. I'm just waiting for that to be official. The one thing I think is very key for them is they didn't want super long term. Like, they've always been very careful with term. Orlov 2 years, Trouba 4 years. I think Nurse has got 4 years left. I think they wanted to be very careful about that. So, you take a look at their Marchment. They signed He's a forward. He got 5 years. Kesselring got 3. Like, I think now, like, Kesselring, to me, he's a lot better player than he showed last year. And I think he will eventually rebound this year. But what San Jose wanted was to get some defensemen that had a bit more bite, had a bit more experience, and not have to do 6, 7, or 8 years to do it. And I think they accomplished that today.
Elliot, just can you take us through, because social media is popping off on maybe some of the deals that are made, and some of them are in San Jose, or the money outgoing to some players saying, oh, that's an overpayment. But this is a very unique season, right? You got the cap that's been growing.
Yeah, big cap.
Yeah, you got the cap that's been growing. You've got, the floor that needs to get met from some of these spots. And then you have a free agent market that really all the big names were off it. Were you expecting big money to be spent on players and maybe overpayments to be had here?
You know what? I thought there'd be a few situations, Mike, where we had like shorter term, but more money. Yeah. I mean, look, like San Jose, for example, they have to get up to the floor. That was one thing I kind of expected with them. I think in 2 years, the cap has gone from 87.5 to 104, and it's going to 113 next year. Now, not everybody's going to go there. Like rebuilding teams like Vancouver, they aren't going to be going to the top of the cap. But that brings the lower number up too. And also what it does is inflate all the salaries. 10% of the cap was X before. It's now 10% of the cap is $10 million now. So like it's very, very different. The overall economics of the salary cap are very, very different, and numbers are going to come up with it. I actually think a lot of the time, Michael, that term gets you into just as much trouble as the AAV does. And that's what I saw a lot of today. Like, you look at Bobrovsky, and I think a lot of people are wondering what that deal was going to be. We'll see how he performs. But, 3 years, I don't know if that scares you as much as maybe a 6-year deal would have.
Mm-hmm. We talked plenty about San Jose and the net improvement to their roster, a close second, if not similar impact. Did you see the Washington Capitals being this active, making the transactions they did? And I'm talking about, of course, Kyrou, Tuch, Jenner recently announced today.
And Vincent Desharnais today, too, at a 4 times 4-ish deal. I saw the possibility for Tuch 100%. I saw the possibility for Kyrou 100%. They've been chasing after Kyrou for a while. I don't know that I saw Jenner or Desharnais. Those two surprised me today. They weren't as upfront on my radar. But look, they missed the playoffs last year, and they really thought they had a lot of trouble scoring. So I wasn't surprised at Kyrou and Tuch at all. I do confess, Stu, I didn't see Desharnais and Jenner coming. Jenner, I heard some rumblings about today, but Desharnais, I certainly didn't see coming.
Elliot, let's ask you about the all-encompassing question here.
Sorry, I just have to check. Keep talking. I just got to check my phone on something.
It's always me, right? It's me. When I go to ask you the question, the screen goes up. I'm going to call you.
When he gets out of
look at us.
When he gets out of landscape mode, it's all over.
Hey, he's always been told a face for radio, so he's gone. Where did he go? He just hung up on us. I think he said he was.
Who's that last crack about the trophy?
There he is.
Yeah, it's that last trophy husband crack.
Oh, I know. Trophy husband.
He's done with us.
Elliot, Werenski, Robertson, Larkin, Hellebuck, the big names, possible fireworks on this day. Where do we stand as far as those names and what you might be hearing?
Well, Werenski, I think there was a bit of a timeout called today. Yesterday was a very emotional day, vetoing a trade to Dallas. I think today was about, okay, let's tone this all down and let's get everything back on the tracks. And I think that's what today was about. We'll see how that develops over the summer. I think there were a lot of hard feelings yesterday, a lot. The organization, the player, Dallas, I think everybody was really upset at what transpired. And today to me was about, let's just calm it down and we'll see where we are as this progresses. Robertson, I still think there's a gap between the Stars. Like, I think he wants to stay there. I still think there's a gap between the Stars and the player. We'll see how that develops. But look, they were worried about Maverick Bourque getting offer sheeted today, so they made the trade with Nashville before that could happen, and they freed up some cap space. Look, Dallas has been aggressive. I don't expect that to change. I think with Larkin, I think what Steve Yzerman said after the draft basically was, I'm not making a bad deal. If you want me to make a deal, get serious with your offers. And Hellebuck, I don't like some of the Buffalo guys, like, for example, Luukkonen, who was rumored in the deal, he's got new trade protection now, right? So, like, it's so funny, like with Buffalo, and I think he was willing to go there. I thought it was close. I had people say to me, you were wrong, it wasn't that close. And I had people call me today and say, no, you're wrong again. It was pretty close. I think the biggest issue there in that deal was, obviously the 4th pick was going to go to Winnipeg, and Winnipeg had the 8th pick, and Buffalo wanted that in return. And Winnipeg was like, no, we'd like to keep that one too. And I think that was one of the biggest reasons that one fell off. I still think we're going to see Hellebuck get moved. They got a good insurance policy today in Stuart Skinner. But I don't think we've heard the end of that one yet.
All right. It's a busy day for you, Elliot. We appreciate a few minutes of your time. Elliot Friedman, our NHL Network insider and our trophy husband here on NHL Tonight. Appreciate it, Elliot.
All right, guys. Have a great summer, okay?
All right. You too. Enjoy it.